Good morning. For some reason, I was on the... I looked at my list today, and I thought I was supposed to be reading Numbers 21, but I read that yesterday, guys. That's so exciting. I was like, I thought I was supposed to finish Numbers today, but I am, so that's great. I have to sneeze. Excuse me. Happy Thursday, everybody. Oh, I have to sneeze again. I'm trying not to sneeze. I don't know why. All of a sudden I had to sneeze. Okay, it went away. That's weird. I'm like, that's weird that I feel like I have to sneeze. Maybe there's something dusty next to me. I don't know. That was weird. Happy Thursday, everybody. What's new, guys? I watched a lot of TikToks this morning. Oh, I posted some of my lives on YouTube, but I did take them off. They're on private right now, only because I realized I didn't go through them, so I don't know if everything I said is what I want out there. So I want to go through them. The only thing is they're like an hour long, so I just want to make sure everything I say is in the guidelines and along the lines of what I want to push out on YouTube. So I'm not sure, because I know sometimes we go off topic, and sometimes I share like personal things, and I just want to make sure everything I said is not, because there's kids that watch. So I'm like, there's kids on my YouTube, so I want to make sure everything I said is not like a direct... Oops. Sorry. I was trying to fix a curl, but it looks like one... Oh, there, it curled. Yeah, just in case, I just want to make sure. Nothing, I mean, it's not nothing bad on our lives that I've done anything. Thank you for the follow, H. Mosa. But I just wanted to make sure, because I'm like, if a kid watches this, what kind of eyes, what would this look like? So I might just do a different cut and not have the chats inside the lives, which sometimes are good. Sometimes I read some of the things on the comments, and I want to make sure everything I read is not... was age appropriate, and age appropriate not in like a... just, you know, kids have a different understanding of life, and so I just want to make sure everything makes sense. So I might just redo it and just do a reading, just a straight through reading, which will give me more reading. I've been doing 2 different lives, but I noticed on my Instagram, it's been harder to do lives on Instagram because I have such a set schedule with TikTok, and it's been so nice. And I come on here, and I'm so encouraged. And Instagram, I don't always get like everybody coming in my lives. They normally watch after, because I don't do it at a specific time. So I'm still trying to work that out with Instagram. But I know that starting out doing these readings through the Bible, it took me all January to just kind of get through the hiccups. Thank you for the like. That was funny. I got 1 like, guys. That was awesome. That's pretty talented. I accidentally hit more than 1 every single time. Just the idea that you can click 1, I always accidentally double click. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and start. I'm reading Numbers 33, and then I'll start Deuteronomy And then, yeah, feel free to chat in between. I normally read through the chapter and then I'll stop for like the comments in between each chapter. And then, so if I don't get to your response right away, it's normally because I just want to finish the chapter and I want to be able to use the footage and as a whole. So, like one whole chapter. So, I'll go ahead and start. Numbers 33. These are the journeys of the children of Israel who went out of the land of Egypt by their armies under the hand of Moses and Aaron. Now Moses wrote down the starting points of their journeys at the command of the Lord, and these are their journeys according to their starting points. They departed from Ramses in the first month, on the 15th day of the first month. On the day after Passover, the children of Israel went out with boldness in the sight of all the Egyptians, for the Egyptians were bearing all their firstborn, whom the Lord had killed among them. Also on their gods the Lord had executed judgments. Then the children of Israel moved from Ramses and camped at Succoth. They departed from Succoth and camped at Etham, which is on the edge of the wilderness. They moved from Etham and turned back to Pi Hahiroth, which is east of Baal Zephon. And they camped near Migdol and departed from before Hahiroth and passed through the midst of the sea into the wilderness, went 3 days' journey in the wilderness of Etham, and camped at Marah. They moved to Marah and came to Elim, and at Elim were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, so they camped there. They moved from Elim and camped by the Red Sea. They moved from the Red Sea and camped in the wilderness of Sin. They journeyed from the wilderness of Sin and camped at Dophkah. They departed from Dophkah and camped at Alush. They moved from Alush and camped at Rephidim, where there was no water for the people to drink. They departed from Rephidim and camped in the wilderness of Sinai. They moved from the wilderness of Sinai and camped at Kibroth Hattaavah. They departed from Kibroth Hattaavah and camped at Hazeroth. They departed from Hazeroth and camped at Rithmah. They departed from Rithmah and camped at Rimmon Perez. They departed from Rimmon Perez and camped at Libnah. They moved from Libnah and camped at Rissah. They journeyed from Rissah and camped at Kehillathath. They went from Kehillathath and camped at Mount Shepher. They moved from Mount Shepher and camped at Haradah. They moved from Haradah and camped at Machheloth. They moved from Machheloth and camped at Tahath. They departed from Tahath and camped at Terah. They moved from Terah and camped at Mithkah. They went from Mithkah and camped at Hashmonah. They departed from Hashmonah and camped at Maseroth. They departed from Maseroth and camped at Bene-Jachem. They moved from Bene-Jachem and camped at Hor-Haggidgad. They went from Hor-Haggidgad and camped at Jokbathah. They moved from Jokbathah and camped at Abrona. They departed from Abrona and camped at Ezion-Geber. They moved from Ezion-Geber and camped in the wilderness of Zin, which is Kadesh. They moved from Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor on the boundary of the land of Edom. Then Aaron the priest went up to Mount Hor on the command of the Lord and died there in the 40th year after the children of Israel had came out of the land of Egypt, on the first day of the 5th month. Aaron was 123 years old when he died on Mount Hor. Now the king of Arad, the Canaanite, who dwelt in the south in the land of Canaan, heard of the coming of the children of Israel. So they departed from Mount Hor and camped at Zalmonah. They departed from Zalmonah and camped at Punon. They departed from Punon and camped at Oboth. They departed from Oboth and camped at Id Abarim at the border of Moab. They departed from Ijim and camped at Dibon Gad. They moved from Dibon Gad and camped at Almon Diblathaim. They moved from Almon Diblathaim and camped in the mountains of Abarim before Nebo. They departed from the mountains of Abarim and camped in the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho. They camped by the Jordan from Beth Jesimoth as far as Abel Acacia Grove in the plains of Moab. Now the Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, say to them, When you have crossed the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land from before you. Destroy all their engraved stones, destroy all their molded images, and demolish all the high places. You shall dispossess the inhabitants of the land and dwell in it, for I have given you the land to possess. And you shall divide the land by lot as an inheritance among your families. To the larger you shall give a larger inheritance, and to the smaller you shall give a smaller inheritance. There everyone's inheritance shall be whatever falls to him by lot. You shall inherit according to the tribes of your fathers. But if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then it shall be that those whom you let remain shall be irritants in your eyes and thorns in your sides, and they shall harass you in the land where you dwell. Moreover, it shall be that I will do to you as I thought to do to them. Hi, Maya. Good to see you. Chapter 34. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel and say to them, When you come into the land of Canaan, this is the land that shall fall to you as an inheritance, the land of Canaan to its boundaries. Your southern border shall be from the wilderness of Zin, according to the border of Eden. Then your southern border shall extend eastward to the end of the Salt Sea. Your border shall turn from the southern side of the ascent of Akrabim, continue to Zin, and be on the south of Kadesh Barnea. Then it shall go to Hazar Adar, and continue to Asmon. The border shall turn from Asmon to the brook of Egypt, and it shall end at the sea. As for the western border, you shall have the great sea for a border. This shall be your western border, and this shall be your northern border. From the great sea you shall mark out your borderline to Mount Hor. From Mount Hor you shall mark out your border to the entrance of Hamath. Then the direction of the border shall be towards Zedad. The border shall proceed to Ziphron, and it shall end in Hazar Enan. This shall be your northern border. You shall mark out your eastern border from Hazar Enan to Shephan. The border shall go down from Shephem to Riblah on the east side of Ain. The border shall go down and reach to the eastern side of the Sea of Chinnereth. The border shall go down along the Jordan, and it shall end at the Salt Sea. This shall be your land with its surrounding boundaries. Then Moses commanded the children of Israel, saying, This is the land which you shall inherit by lot, which the Lord has commanded to give to the 9 tribes and to the half-tribe. For the tribe of the children of Reuben, according to the house of their fathers, and the tribes of the children of Gad had, according to the house of their fathers, had received their inheritance, and half the tribe of Manasseh has received its inheritance. The 2 tribes and the half-tribe have received their inheritance on this side of the Jordan, across from Jericho eastward, towards the sunrise. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, These are the names of the men who shall divide the land among you as an inheritance. Eleazar the priest, and Joshua son of Nun, and you shall take 1 leader of every tribe to divide the land for the inheritance. These are the names of the men from the tribe of Judah: Caleb the son of Jephunneh, from the tribe of the children of Simeon; Shemuel the son of Ammihud, from the tribe of Benjamin; Elidad the son of Chislon, a leader from the tribe of the children of Dan; Buki the son of Jogli, from the sons of Joseph, a leader from the tribe of the children of Manasseh; Haniel the son of Ephod, and a leader from the tribe of the children of Ephraim; Kemuel the son of Shiftan, a leader from the tribe of the children of Zebulun; Elisaphan the son of the Parnarch, a leader of the tribe of the children of Issachar; Paltiel the son of Azan, a leader from the tribe of the children of Asher; Ahihud the son of Shelomi, a leader from the tribe of the children of Naphtali; Pedahel the son of Ammihud. These are the ones the Lord commanded to divide the inheritance among the children of Israel in the land of Canaan. Thank you, Meme the Angle, for following me. My day's going well. Thank you. How's your day? How are you, Maya? Chapter 35. And the Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho, saying, Command the children of Israel that they give the Levites cities to dwell in from the inheritance of their possession. And you shall also give the Levites common land around the cities. They shall have the cities to dwell in, and their common land shall be for the cattle, for their herds, and for all their animals. The common land of the cities which you will give the Levites shall extend from the wall of the city outward 1,000 cubits all around. And you shall measure outside the city on the east side 2,000 cubits, on the south side 2,000 cubits, on the west side 2,000 cubits, and on the north side 2,000 cubits. The city shall be in the middle. This shall belong to them as a common land for the cities. Now among the cities which you will give to the Levites, you shall appoint 6 cities of refuge, to which a manslayer may flee. And these you shall add 42 cities. So all the cities you will give to the Levites shall be 48. These you shall give with their common land. And the cities which you would give shall be from the possession of the children of Israel. From the larger tribe you shall give many. From the smaller tribe you shall give few. Each shall give some of its cities to the Levites in proportion to the inheritance that each receives. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, When you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall appoint the cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the manslayer who kills any person accidentally may flee there. They shall be cities of refuge for you and for you from the avenger, that the manslayer may not die, until he stands before the congregation in judgment. And of the cities which you give, you shall have 6 cities of refuge. You shall appoint 3 cities on this side of the Jordan, and 3 cities you shall appoint in the land of Canaan, which will be cities of refuge. These 6 cities shall be for refuge for the children of Israel, for the stranger, and for the sojourner among them, that anyone who kills a person accidentally may flee there. But if he strikes him with an iron implement so that he dies, he is a murderer, and the murderer shall be put to death. And if he strikes him with a stone in hand by which one could die, and he does die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. Or if he strikes him with the wooden hand weapon by which one could die, and he does die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. The avenger of blood himself shall put the murderer to death. When he meets him, he shall put him to death. If he pushes him out of hatred, or while lying in wait, hurls something at him so that he dies, or if in enmity he strikes him with his hand so that he dies, the one who struck him shall surely be put to death. He is a murderer. The avenger of blood shall put the murderer to death when he meets him. However, if he pushes him suddenly without enmity, or throws anything at him without lying in wait, or uses a stone by which a man could die, throwing it at him without seeing him so that he dies, while he was not his enemy or seeking his harm, then the congregation shall judge between the manslayer and the avenger of blood according to these judgments. So the congregation shall deliver the manslayer from the hand of the avenger of blood, and the congregation shall return him to the city of refuge where he had fled. And he shall remain there until the death of the high priest who is anointed with the holy oil. But if the manslayer at any time goes out the limits of the city of refuge where he fled, and the avenger of blood finds him outside the limits of his city of refuge, and the avenger of blood kills the manslayer, he shall not be guilty of blood, because he should have remained in the city of refuge until the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the manslayer may return to the land of his possession. And all these things shall be statutes or judgments to you throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Whoever kills a person, the murderer, shall be put to death on the testimony of witness. But one witness is not sufficient testimony against a person for the death penalty. Moreover, you shall take no ransom for the life of a murderer who is guilty of death, but he shall surely be put to death. And you shall take no ransom for him who has fled to his city of refuge, that he may return to dwell in the land before the death of the priests. So you shall not pollute the land where you are, for blood defiles the land, and no atonement can be made for the land, for the blood that is shed on it, except by the blood of him who shed it. Therefore do not defile the land which you inhabit, in the midst of which I dwell, for I the Lord dwell among the children of Israel. I'm doing well, thank you. Chapter 36. Now The chief fathers of the families of the children of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, of the families of the sons of Joseph, came near and spoke before Moses, before the leaders, the chief fathers of the children of Israel. And they said, The Lord commanded my lord Moses to give the land as an inheritance by lot to the children of Israel. And my lord was commanded by the Lord to give the inheritance of our brother Zelophehad to his daughters. Now if they are married to any of the sons of the other tribes of the children of Israel, then their inheritance will be taken from the inheritance of our fathers, and it will be added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they marry. So it will be taken from the lot of our inheritance. And when the Jubilee of children of Israel comes, and their inheritance will be added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they marry, so their inheritance will be taken away from the inheritance of the tribe of their fathers. Then Moses commanded the children of Israel according to the word of the Lord, saying, What the tribes of the son of Joseph speak is right. This is what the Lord commands concerning the daughters of Zelophehad, saying, Let them marry whom they think is best, but they may marry only within the family of their father's tribe. So the inheritance of the children of Israel shall not change hands from tribe to tribe, for each one of the children of Israel shall keep the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. And every tribe who possess an inheritance in any tribe of the children of Israel shall be the wife of one of the family of her father's tribe, so that the children of Israel each may possess the inheritance of his fathers. Thus no inheritance shall change hands from one tribe to another, but each tribe of the children of Israel shall keep its own inheritance. Just as the Lord commanded Moses, so did the daughters of Zelophehad. For Mahlah, Tirzah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Norah, the daughters of Zelophehad, were married to the sons of their father's brothers. They were married into the families of the children of Manasseh, the sons of Joseph, and their inheritance remained in the tribe of their father's family. These are the commandments and the judgment which the Lord commanded in the children of Israel by the hand of Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan, across from Jericho. That's so crazy. That was Numbers, guys. Now I'm moving into another chapter. I only have, it says to read 7 chapters. So I'll be reading 7 chapters of Deuteronomy. How's everybody doing today? I feel like it's still so early. It's 9 o'clock in California. This is going to talk more about laws. Yeah, it looks like the first couple of chapters. 12:30. Oh, wow. I'm like sleepy still. You having lunch? I'm like, I still have to have breakfast. I just had coffee today. It's funny, whenever I have my hair down, I feel like it tickles me. I get all itchy on my face. So if you see me do this, it's because my hair touches my face. You work and listen. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. I always like interacting with you guys, but even just if you listen, like, it's great. I understand. I tend to do that too on lives, especially, I don't know, it just helps me throughout the day. It helps me just to, I don't know if it's the sound. I heard one time that I think they said the best alarm is when someone's talking to you. Like to wake up in the day, when someone talks to you, it actually helps you wake up. So I know that there's some like call services where a voice will call you. I don't know if they still do it, but you know, like in hotels, they'll call and they'll have like a recording, and that actually will wake people up. Better than, I do not like alarms. They freak me out. Oh, I don't like the sound of alarms. Even if they're peaceful, I have a very peaceful alarm that's like, it's like bells. It's really pretty, but I felt like even just, well, I don't know. Sometimes when I have my phone on vibrate and it's on my dresser, it's just very scary. So I heard that talking, radios help too. When radios turn on, not necessarily the music, but like even just the people talking helps wake up. I get woken up a lot by talking, or even TV. When the TV's people are talking on the TV, that just wakes me up. All right, I'll go ahead and start Deuteronomy chapter 1. These are the words which Moses spoke to all Israel on this side of the Jordan in the wilderness, in the plain opposite Suph, between Paran, Tophel, Laban, Hazeroth, and Dizahab. It is 11 days' journey from Horeb by way of Mount Seir to Kadesh Barnea. Now it came to pass in the 40th year, in the 11th month, on the first day of the month, that Moses spoke to the children of Israel according to all the Lord had given him, as commandments to them, after he had killed Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, and Og, king of Bashan, who dwelt at Ashtaroth in Edrei. On this side of the Jordan, the land of Moab, Moses began to explain this law, saying, The Lord our God spoke to us in Horeb, saying, You have dwelt long enough at this mountain. Turn and take your journey, and go into the mountains of the Amorites, to all the neighboring places in the plain, in the mountains, and in the lowland, in the south, and in the sea coast, to the land of the Canaanites, and to Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates. See, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land which the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give to them and their descendants after them. And I spoke to you at the time, saying, I am alone, not able to bear you. The Lord your God has multiplied you, and here you are today as the stars of heaven in multitude. May the Lord, God of your fathers, make you 1,000 times more numerous than you are, and bless you as he has promised you. How can I alone bear your problems and your burdens and your complaints? Choose wise, understanding, and knowledgeable men from among your tribes, and I will make them heads over you. And you answered me and said, This is the thing which you have told us to do is good. So I took the heads of your tribes, wise and knowledgeable men, and made them heads over you, leaders of thousands, leaders of hundreds, leaders of 50s, leaders of 10, and officers for your tribe. Then I command your judges at that time, saying, Hear the cases between your brethren, and judge righteously between a man and his brother, or a stranger who is with him. You shall not show partiality in judgment. You shall not hear the small as well as the great. You shall hear the small as well as the great. You shall not be afraid in any man's presence, for the judgment is God's. The case that is too hard for you, bring to me, and I will hear it. And I will command you at the time all the things which you shall do. So we departed from Horeb and went through all the great and terrible wilderness, which you saw on the way to the mountain of the Amorites, as the Lord our God had commanded us. This we came to Kadesh Barnea, and I said to you, You have come to the mountains of the Amorites, which the Lord our God is giving us. Look, the Lord your God has set the land before you. Go up and possess it as the Lord God of your fathers had spoken to you. And do not fear or be discouraged. And everyone of you came near to me and said, Let us send men before us, and let them search out the land and bring back word to us of the way by which we shall go up, and of the cities into which we shall come. The plan pleased me well, so I took 12 of your men, one from each tribe, and they departed and went up into the mountains and came to the valley of Eshcol, and spied it out. They also took some of the fruit of the land in their hands and brought it down to us, and they brought back word to us, saying, It is a good land which the Lord our God is giving us. Nevertheless, you would not go up, because you rebelled against the command of the Lord your God, and you complained in your tents and said, Because the Lord hates us, he has brought us out of the land of Egypt to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites, to destroy us. Where can we go up? Our brethren have discouraged our hearts, saying, The people are greater and taller than we. The cities are great and fortified up to heaven. Moreover, we have seen the sons of Anakim there. Then I said to you, Do not be terrified or afraid of them. The Lord your God who goes before you, he will fight for you, according to all he did for you in Egypt before your eyes. And in the wilderness, when you saw how the Lord your God carried you, as a man carries his son, in all the way that you went until you came to this place. Yet for all that you did not believe the Lord your God, who went in the way before you to search out a place for you to pitch your tents, to show you the way you should go, in the fire by night and in the cloud by day. And the Lord heard the sound of your words and was angry, and took an oath, saying, Surely not one of these men of the evil generation shall see the good of the land which I swore to give to your fathers, except Caleb the son of Jephunneh. He shall see it, and to him and his children I am giving the land on which he walked, because he wholly followed the Lord. The Lord was also angry with me for your sake, saying, Even you shall not go in there. Joshua the son of Nun, who stands before you, he shall go in there. Encourage him, for he shall cause Israel to inherit it. Moreover, your little ones and your children, who you say will be victims, who today have no knowledge of good and evil, they shall go in there, and to them I will give it, and they shall possess it. But as for you, turn and take your journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. Then you answered and said to me, We have sinned against the Lord. We will go up and fight just as the Lord our God commanded us. And when every one of you had girded his weapons of war, you were ready to go up into the mountain. And the Lord said to me, Tell them, Do not go up nor fight, for I am not among you, lest you be defeated before your enemies. So I spoke to you, yet you would not listen, but rebelled against the command of the Lord, and presumptuously went up into the mountain. And the Amorites who dwelt in the mountain came out against you and chased you as bees do, and drove you back from Seir to Hormah. Then you returned and wept before the Lord, but the Lord would not listen to your voice, nor give ear to you. So you remained in Kadesh many days, according to the days that you spent there. Thank you for the follow. Hi, Mimi. God bless you. Chapter 2. Then we turned and journeyed into the wilderness of the way of the Red Sea, as the Lord spoke to me, and we skirted Mount Seir for many days. And the Lord spoke to me, saying, You have skirted the mountain long enough. Turn northward and command this people, saying, You are about to pass through the territory of your brethren, the descendants of Esau, who live in Seir. They will be afraid of you. Therefore watch yourselves carefully. Do not meddle with them, for I will not give you any of their land. No, not so much as one footstep, because I have given Mount Seir to Esau as a possession. You shall buy food from them with money, that you may eat, and you shall also buy water from them with money, that you may drink. For the Lord your God has blessed you in all the work of your hand. He knows your trudging through the great wilderness. These 40 years the Lord your God has been with you. You have lacked nothing. And we pass beyond our brethren, the descendants of Esau, who dwell in Seir, away from the road, on the plain, away from Elath and Ezion-Geber. We turned and passed by the way of the wilderness of Moab. Then the Lord said to me, Do not harass Moab, or contend with them in battle, for I will not give you any of their land as a possession, because I have given Ar to the descendants of Lot as a possession. Then Ammon had dwelt there in times past, the people as great and numerous and as tall as Anakim. These were also regarded as giants, like the Anakim, but the Moabites called them Ammon. The Horites formerly dwelled in Seir, but the descendants of Esau dispossessed them and destroyed them from before them, and dwelt in their place, just as Israel did to the land of their possession, which the Lord gave them. Now rise and cross over the valley of Zered. So we crossed over the valley of Zered. And the time we took to come from Kadesh Barnea until we crossed over the valley of Zered was 38 years, until all the generation of the men of war was consumed from the midst of the camp, just as the Lord had sworn to them. For indeed the hand of the Lord was against them, to destroy them from the midst of the camp until they were consumed. So it was, when all the men of war had finally perished from among them, that the Lord spoke to me, saying, This is the day you are to cross over to Ar, the boundary of Moab. And when you come near to the people of Ammon, do not harass them or meddle with them, for I will not give you any of the land of the people of Ammon as a possession, because I have given it to the descendants of Lot as a possession. That was also regarded as the land of giants. Giants formerly dwelt there, But the Ammonites called Zazumim, a people as great and numerous and as tall as Anakim. But the Lord destroyed them before them, and they dispossessed them and dwelt in their place, just as he had done for the descendants of Esau who dwelt in Seir. When he had destroyed the Horites from before them, they dispossessed them and dwelt in their place even to this day. And Avim, who dwelt in the villages as far as Gaza, the Caphtorim, who came from Caphtor, destroyed them and dwelt in their place. Rise, take your journey and cross over the river Arnon. Look, I have given into your hands Sihon the Amorite, king of Heshbon, and his land. Begin to possess it and engage him in battle. This day I will begin to put the dread of fear, put the dread and fear of you upon the nations under the whole heaven, who shall hear the report of you, and you shall tremble, and be in anguish because of you. And I sent messengers from the wilderness of Kedemoth to Sihon, king of Heshbon, with words of peace, saying, Let me pass through your land. I will keep strictly to the road, and I will turn neither to the right nor to the left. You shall sell me food for money that I may eat, and give me water for money that I may drink. Only let me pass through on foot, just as the descendants of Esau who dwelt in Seir and the Moabites who dwelt in Ar did for me, until I cross the Jordan to the land which the Lord our God has given us. But Sihon, king of Heshbon, would not let us pass through, for the Lord your God hardened his spirit and made his heart obstinate. Then he might deliver him into your hand, and it is this day. And the Lord said to me, See, I have begun to give Sihon and his land over to you. Begin to possess it, that you may inherit his land. Then Sihon and all his people came out against us to fight Jahaz. And the Lord our God delivered him over to us. So we defeated him, his sons, and all his people. We took all his cities at that time, and we utterly destroyed the men, women, and little ones of every city. We left none remaining. We took only the livestock as plunder for ourselves, with the spoil of the cities which we took from Aroer, which is the bank of the river Arnon, from the city that is in the ravine as far as Gilead. There was not one city too strong for us. The Lord our God delivered it all to us. Only you did not go near the land of the people of Ammon, anywhere among the river Jabbok, or to the cities of the mountains, or wherever the Lord our God has forbidden us. Chapter 3. Then we turned and went up the road to Bashan, and Og, king of Bashan, came out against us, he and all his people, to the battle of Edrei. And the Lord said to me, Do not fear him, for I have delivered him and all his people and his land into your hands. You shall do to him as you did to Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon. So the Lord our God also delivered into our hands Og, the king of Bashan, with all his people, and we attacked him until he had no survivors remaining. And we took all his cities. At the time there was not a city which we did not take from them. 60 cities, all the regions of Argob, the kingdom of Og, in Bashan. All these cities were fortified with high walls, gates, and bars, besides a great many rural towns, and we utterly destroyed them, as we did to Sihon, king of Heshbon, utterly destroying the men, women, children of every city. But all the livestock and the spoil of the cities we took as booty for ourselves. And at the time we took the land from the hands of the 2 kings of the Amorites, who were on this side of the Jordan, from the river Arnon to Mount Hermon. The Sidonians called Hermon Sirion, and the Amorites call it Sinir. All the cities of the plain, all Gilead, and all Bashan, as far as Selka and Edrei, cities of the kingdom of Og in Bashan. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnants of the giants. Indeed, his bedstead was an iron bedstead. Is it not in Rabbah of the people of Ammon? 9 cubits it is its length, and 4 cubits its width, according to the standard cubit. And this land which we possess at the time from Aroer, which is by the river Arnon, and half the mountain of Gilead and its cities, I gave to the Reubenites and the Gadites. The rest of the Gilead and all Bashan, the kingdom of Og, I gave to half the tribe of Manasseh. All the region of Argob, with all Bashan, was called the land of the giants. Jair, the son of Manasseh, took all the region of Argob as far as the border of Geshurites and the Maacathites, and called Bashan after his own name, Havoc Jair, to this day. Also I gave Gilead to Machir, and to the Reubenites and the Gadites I gave from Gilead as far as the river Arnon, the middle of the river, the border, as far as the river Jabbok, the border of the people of Ammon, the plain also with the Jordan as the border from Chinnereth, as far as the east of the sea of the Arba, the salt sea, below the slopes of Pisgah. Then I commanded you at that time, saying, the Lord your God has given you this land to possess. All your men of valor shall cross over, armed before your brethren, the children of Israel, but your wives and your little ones and your livestock, I know that you have much livestock, shall stay in your cities which I have given you, until the Lord has given rest to your brethren as to you. And they also possess the land which the Lord your God is giving them beyond the Jordan. Then each of you may return to his possession which I have given you. And I commanded Joshua at that time, saying, your eyes have seen all that the Lord your God has done to these two kings. So will the Lord do to all the kingdoms through which you pass. You must not fear them, for the Lord your God fights for you. For the Lord your God himself fights for you. Then I pleaded with the Lord at that time, saying, O Lord God, you have begun to show your servant your greatness and your mighty hand. For what God is there in heaven or on earth who can do anything like your works, your mighty deeds? I pray, let me cross over and see the good land beyond the Jordan, those pleasant mountains in Lebanon. But the Lord was angry with me on your account and would not listen to me. So the Lord said to me, enough of that. Speak no more to me of this matter. Go up to the top of Pisgah and lift up your eyes towards the west, the north, the south, and the east. Behold it with your eyes, for you shall not cross over the Jordan, but command Joshua, encourage him, and strengthen him, for he shall go over before this people, and he shall cause them to inherit the land which you will see. So we stayed in the valley opposite Beth Peor. Chapter 4. Now, O Israel, listen to the statutes, the judgments which I teach you to observe, that you may live, and go in and possess the land which the Lord God of your fathers is giving you. You shall not add to the word which I command you, nor take from it, that you may keep the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you. Your eyes have seen what the Lord did at Baal Peor, for the Lord your God has destroyed from among you all the men who follow Baal Peor. But you, who held fast to the Lord your God, are alive today, every one of you. Surely I have taught you statutes and judgments, just as the Lord my God commanded me, that you should do according to them in the land which you go to possess. Therefore be careful to observe them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the people, who all hear the statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what great nation is there that God so near to it as the Lord our God is to us, for whatever reason we may call upon him? And what great nation is there that has such statutes and righteous judgments as are in all this law which I set before you this day? Only take heed to yourselves and diligently keep yourself, lest you forget the things your eyes have seen, unless they depart from your heart all the days of your life, and teach them to your children and your grandchildren, especially concerning the day you stood before the Lord your God in Horeb, when the Lord said to me, gather the people to me, and I will let them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days they lived on the earth, and that they may teach their children. Then you came near and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the midst of heaven, with darkness, cloud, and thick darkness. And the Lord spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the sound of the words, but saw no form. You only heard a voice. So he declared to you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, the 10 Commandments. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone, that the Lord commanded me at this time to teach you statutes and judgments, that you may observe them in the land which you cross over to possess. Take careful heed to yourselves, for you saw no form what the Lord spoke to you at Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest you act corruptly, and make for yourselves a carved image in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any animal that is on the earth, or the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the air, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, or the likeness of any flesh that is in the water beneath the earth. And take heed lest you lift your eyes to heaven, and when you see the sun, the moon, and the stars, and all the host of heaven, you feel driven to worship them and serve them, which the Lord your God has given to all the people under the whole heaven as a heritage. But the Lord has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace, out of Egypt, to be his people, an inheritance, as you are this day. Furthermore, the Lord was angry with me for your sakes, and swore that I would not cross over the Jordan, and that I would not enter the good land which the Lord your God has given you as an inheritance. But I must die in this land. I must not cross over the Jordan. But you shall cross over and possess the good land. Take heed to yourselves, lest you forget the covenant that the Lord your God, which he made with you, and make for yourself a carved image in the form of anything which the Lord your God has forbidden you. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. When you beget children and grandchildren, and have grown old in the land, and act corruptly, and make carved image in the form of anything, and do evil in the sight of the Lord your God, to provoke him to anger, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that will soon utterly perish from the land which you cross over the Jordan to possess. You will not prolong your days in it, but will be utterly destroyed, and the Lord will scatter you among the peoples, and you will be left few in number among the nations where the Lord will drive you. And there you will serve gods, the work of men's hand, wood and stone, whether neither see nor hear, nor eat nor smell. But from there you will seek the Lord your God, and you will find him, if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul. When you are in distress, and all these things come upon you in the latter days, when you turn to the Lord your God and obey his voice, for the Lord your God is merciful, he will not forsake you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers, which he swore to them. For ask now concerning the days that are past, which were before you, since the day that God created man on the earth, and ask from one end of heaven to the other, whether any great thing like this has happened, or anything like it has been heard. Did any people ever hear the voice of God speaking out of the midst of the fire as you have heard and live? Or did God ever try to go and take for himself a nation from the midst of another nation by trials, by signs, by wonders, by war, by mighty hand and outstretched arm, and by great terrors, according to all that the Lord your God did for you in Egypt before your eyes? To you it was shown, that you might know that the Lord himself is God. There is none other besides him. Out of heaven he let you hear his voice, that he might instruct you on earth. He showed you his great fire, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loves your fathers, therefore he chose their descendants after them, and he brought you out of Egypt with his presence and with his mighty power, driving out from before you nations greater and mightier than you, to bring you in, to give you their land as an inheritance, as it is this day. Therefore know this day, and consider it in your heart, that the Lord himself is God in heaven above, and on earth beneath. There is no other. You shall keep his statutes and his commandments, which I command you today, that I may go well with you and with your children after you, that you may prolong your days in the land which the Lord your God is giving you for all time. Then Moses set apart 3 cities on the side of Jordan towards the rising of the sun. The manslayer might flee there, who kills his neighbor unintentionally without having hated him in time past, that by fleeing to one of these cities he might live. Bezer in the wilderness, on the plateau for the Reubenites, Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan for the Manassites. Now, this is the law which Moses set before the children of Israel. These are the testimonies, the statutes, and the judgments which Moses spoke to the children of Israel after they came out of Egypt. On this side of the Jordan in the valley, opposite of Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt at Heshbon, whom Moses and the children of Israel defeated after they came out of Egypt. And they took possession of his land in the land of Og, king of Bashan, 2 kings of the Amorites, who were on this side of Jordan towards the rising of the sun, from Or, which is on the banks of the river Arnon, even to Mount Sion, that is, Hermon, and all the plain on the east side of the Jordan, as far as the sea of Arabah, below the slopes of Pisgah. I just wanted to underline something really quick. Chapter 5. And Moses called all Israel and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and the judgments, which I speak in your hearing today, that you may learn them and be careful to observe them. The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. But the Lord did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, those who are here today, all of us who are alive. The Lord talked with you face to face on the mountain from the midst of the fire. I stood between the Lord and you at that time to declare to you the word of the Lord, for you were afraid because of the fire, and you did not go up to the mountain. And he said, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in earth beneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. You shall not bow down to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children of the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the Lord's name in vain. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Observe the Sabbath day, to keep it holy, as the Lord your God commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor anything of your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates, that your male servant and your female servant may rest as well as you. And remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out from there by a mighty hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore the Lord your God commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Honor your father and your mother, as the Lord your God has commanded you, that your days may be long, and that it may be well with you in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife. You shall not desire your neighbor's house, his field, his male servants, his female servant, his ox, his donkey, or anything that is your neighbor's. These words the Lord spoke to all your assembly in the mountain from the midst of the fire, the cloud, and the thick darkness, with a loud voice, and he added no more. He wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. So it was when you heard the voice from the midst of the darkness, while the mountain was burning with fire, and you came near to me, and the heads of your tribes and your elders, and you said, Surely the Lord our God has shown us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice from the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that God speaks with man, yet he still lives. Now therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of the Lord our God any more, then we shall die. The Lord our God... For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of the Lord our God any more, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh who has heard the voice of the living God speaking from the midst of the fire, as we have and lived? You go near and hear all the Lord our God may say, and tell us all that the Lord our God says to you, and we will hear and do it. Then the Lord heard the voice of your words, and when you spoke to me, the Lord said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken to you. They are right in all that they have spoken. Oh, that they had such a heart in them, that my words that they would fear me, and always keep my commandments, that it might be well with them, with their children forever. Go and say to them, Return to your tents. But as for you, stand here by me, and I will speak to you all the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments, which you shall teach them, that they may observe them in the land which I am giving them to possess. Therefore you shall be careful to do all the Lord your God has commanded you. You shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. You shall walk in all the ways which the Lord your God has commanded you, that you may live, and that it may be well with you, and that you may prolong your days in the land which you shall possess. Hi, Jimmy. Good to see you. What is a carved image? I'm thinking like a statue. Something carved. Yeah, I would say something like a statue or something created in that kind of way. Because I used to worship things of wood and stone. Oh, of course, Jimmy. I've got 2 more chapters. They're not super long, but I just want to make sure I answer you guys' questions. Chapter 6. Now this is the commandment, and these are the statutes and judgments which the Lord your God has commanded to teach you, that you may observe them in the land which you are crossing over to possess, that you may fear the Lord your God, and to keep all his statutes and his commandments which I command you, you and your son and your grandson, all the days of your life, and that your day may be prolonged. Therefore, hear, O Israel, and be careful to observe it, that it may be well with you, that you may multiply greatly, as the Lord your God or your father has promised you, a land flowing with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength. And these words which I command you today shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and you shall talk them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on doorposts of your house and on your gates. So it shall be when the Lord your God brings you into the land of which he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give you large and beautiful cities which you did not build, houses full of all good things which you did not fill, hand out wells which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant. When you have eaten and are full, then beware lest you forget the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. You shall fear the Lord your God and serve him, and shall take oaths in his name. You shall not go after other gods, the gods of the people who are all around you, for the Lord your God is jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord your God be aroused against you and destroy you from the face of the earth. You shall not tempt the Lord your God as you tempted him in Massah. You shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God, his testimonies, and his statutes, when he has commanded you, and you should do what is right and good in the sight of the Lord, that it may be well with you, that you may go in and possess the good land which the Lord swore to your fathers, to cast out all your enemies from before you, and as the Lord has spoken. When your son asked you in time to come, saying, what is the meaning of the testimonies, the statutes, and the judgments which the Lord our God has commanded you? Then you shall say to your son, we were slaves of Pharaoh in Egypt, and the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. And the Lord showed signs and wonders before our eyes, great and severe, against Egypt, Pharaoh, and all his household. Then he brought us out from there, and that he may bring us in to give us the land of which he swore to our fathers. And the Lord commanded us to observe all these statutes, to fear the Lord our God for our good always, that he may preserve us alive. And it is this day, as it is this day. Then it will be righteousness for us. We are careful to observe these commandments before the Lord our God, as he commanded us. Thank you, Eternal, for the follow. Chapter 7. When the Lord your God brings you into the land which you go to possess, and he has cast out many nations before you, the Hittites and the Gershagites, the Amorites and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you, and when the Lord your God delivers them over to you, you shall conquer them and utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them, nor show mercy on them, nor shall you make marriages with them. You shall not give your daughters to their son, nor take their daughter for your son. For they will turn your sons away from following me to serve other gods, so the anger of the Lord will be aroused against you and destroy you suddenly. But thus you shall deal with them. You shall destroy their altars, break down their sacred pillars, and cut down their wooden images, and burn their carved images with fire. For you are a holy people to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you to be a people for himself, his special treasure above all the peoples on the face of the earth. The Lord did not set his love on you, nor chose you because you were more in number than any other people, for you were the least of all peoples, but because the Lord loves you, and because he would keep an oath which he swore to your fathers. So the Lord has brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you from the house of bondage, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Therefore know the Lord your God, he is God, the faithful God, who keeps his covenant and mercy for 1,000 generations with those who love him and keep his commandments, and he repays those who hate him to their face to destroy them. He will not be slack with him who hates him. He will repay him to his face. Therefore you shall keep the commandment, the statutes, and the judgments which I command you today to observe them. Then it shall come to pass, because you listen to these judgments and keep and do them, that the Lord your God will keep with you the covenant and the mercy which he swore to your fathers. And he will love you and bless you and multiply you. He will also bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your hand, your grain and your new wine and your oil, the increase of your cattle and the offspring of your flock, in the land of which he swore to your fathers to give you. You shall be blessed above all people. There shall not be a male or female barren among you or among your livestock. And the Lord will take away from you all sickness, and will afflict you with none of the terrible diseases of Egypt, which you have known, but will lay them on all who hate you. Also you shall destroy all the peoples whom the Lord your God delivers over to you. Your eye shall have no pity on them, nor shall you serve their gods, for that will be a snare to you. If you should say in your heart, these nations are greater than I, how could I dispossess them? You shall not be afraid of them, but you shall remember well what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and to all Egypt, the great trials which your eyes saw, the signs and the wonders, the mighty hand and outstretched arm by which the Lord your God brought you out. So shall the Lord your God do to all the people of whom you are afraid. Moreover, the Lord your God will send the hornet among them until those who are left who hide themselves from you are destroyed. You shall not be terrified of them, for the Lord your God, the great and awesome God, is among you. And the Lord your God will drive out those nations before you little by little. You will be unable to destroy them at once, lest the beasts of the field become too numerous for you. But the Lord your God will deliver them over to you, and will inflict defeat upon them until they are destroyed. And he will deliver their kings into your hands, and you will destroy their name from under heaven. No one shall be able to stand against you until you have destroyed them. You shall burn the carved images of their gods with fire. You shall not covet the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it for yourselves, lest you be snared by it, for it is an abomination to the Lord your God. Nor shall you bring an abomination into your house, lest you be doomed to destruction like it. You shall utterly detest it and utterly abhor it, for it is an accursed thing. Do you remember that man's name you read in the Bible? It's a very unique name. Oh, there's a lot of unique names. There's one that I was recently reading today. I think it's something with the M. I can't remember the name. A unique name. There's so many. I feel like the Bible just has so many unique names. Do you remember, like, the context? can't believe it's Thursday, guys. You make me want to play the audio now. It's me too. What audio? Man, I can't believe we're in Deuteronomy. This is like so unheard of for me. Oh, the Bible audio. You know what I like about the Bible audio? I do listen to they don't have the New King James Version, which I really like the New King James Version, but the Holy Bible app has the NLT, which is much easier to understand, but they have a really good one on there. I like it because they have like music in the background. I thought of doing that on YouTube because I don't think it'll work like here on TikTok. So I might do something like that where it's just like month by month. The two-part name begins with M. Oh, I have no clue. Sorry, my stomach is growling. Yeah, I might do it on YouTube, just because it's a longer version. But I like when they put music in the background. But they put like some cool like sounding, like if they're like in like a bazaar or something, you can kind of hear like people talking. I think it's that one that I remember. Yes, please. Oh, thank you. Go get some lunch. Thanks for reading. Yeah. It's still, well, I haven't had breakfast yet. It's 10:10 right now in California. Thank you for joining. Yeah, they do have a King James version. The voice on there, I'm not too, it's very serious. 1 p.m. in Philly, Jimmy from Philly. Oh, you changed it. 2 Kings James. Jimmy 2 King James. Oh, you changed your name? Wasn't it Jimmy from Philly? Jimmy in Philly? Or Jimmy? It's been a while. You haven't been on my live for a while. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I think my mic picks it up, actually. You became a king. Oh, I'm not a fan of the theatric readings. So. Yeah, sometimes I don't like it. Sometimes I like the silence. Like when I used to do my lives last year, I would put music in the background, which is nice to have like a little music, but sometimes I just want it to be quiet and I just want to hear like the sounds that are around. I don't do well with a lot of different sounds put together. Like yesterday I went to church and I sat in the back, which I normally don't sit in the back. I sit in the front. I sit as close as I can without like, I don't know, like 3 rows back. I try to, something like that. But people talk in the back. I'm like, and then people are walking in and I'm like, oh my goodness, because I was late. So I was like, I do not want to walk all the way to the front. I've done it before. Because there's normally seats in the front because nobody wants to sit in the front. But oh my goodness, people could not stop talking, and I was like, oh, and I couldn't hear everybody's conversation. It was just muffled, so that was kind of like, it was a lot of different sounds. Like there was multiple people talking. I'm like, oh, I do not like the back, guys. Sometimes I'll sit in the back, but my eyes just, as soon as a person walks, and I tried so hard not to like turn. You know, when someone walks down the aisle, I'm like, oh, I'm like, no, like, let's just pay attention. I couldn't pay attention. So I either kept my head down or I was looking around at different times. And then during worship, one of the instruments was putting lights on the ceiling, like it was reflecting the light. So I just kept like flinching. I was just watching all the lights. I feel like a cat. I feel like the cat's like watching the little laser. That was pretty much what happened. It was too funny. But thank you guys for joining. Tomorrow I'll read some more Deuteronomy, and I'm hoping today to get on my Instagram live. I'm a little behind on the Bible in a year, but I'll be reading multiple ones when I get there. But I hope you have a awesome day, and thank you so much for joining. I will see you tomorrow.